Michelle Obama's last speech in the White House, sit back and listen to this presentation and get ready to have an insightful experience. We will be answering all questions as why the USA is the destination for you and how IDP education can make your study dreams come true. We will also be answering the most frequently asked questions like documents required to study in USA, requirements to study MSc, PGD, and BSc. What is the I-20 form? What is SEVIS? And why a study plan or a statement of purpose is important, and lots more. So I'm going to share my screen right now and we'll begin the presentation. So let's talk about the fast facts and figures about USA as a destination. So USA is the capital city of USA is Washington, D.C., and USA has 50 states and is split into regions. And the population of USA is about 328.8 million people as at 2019. And while international students, we have about 1.1 million students as at 2019. And USA hosts the most top ranking universities in the world. Also, USA is number one destination for international students. For the post-study work permit, you have 1 to 3 years opportunity, and then you eventually get your green card. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to actualize your American dream. So I'll pass this presentation right now to my colleague, Precious, to take over. Sure.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to see everyone here today. So, my name is Precious. I'm going to be taking over, and I'd like to share my screen right now. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So, I'm going to play you this video so you can get an oversight or an overview of what the US feels like, right? Great. amazing video with different races. I'm very sure you would notice something very unique about the video you just watched. We found out that there are so many people, different races, different cultures. That's the beauty of America. It opens its doors to, you know, or her doors to different people. And so you're also welcome, you know, to dare to dream to be in the USA. So the next slide, I'm going to be talking about the intakes that we have in the US. We have the spring, we have the fall, and of course we have the summer. But the most popular intake that we have in the US is the fall intake, where we have a lot of courses, a lot of programs available to international students, right? So it is always advisable that you apply on time. You make your application on time so that you can get a, you know, a faster turnaround time and can also enable you process your visa, you understand, on time. All right then, so next slide. I'm also going to be running you through the application process in the US. So we have about 3 different methods of application. We have the online application, the paper application, and issuing documents, right? So I'm going to talk about the online quickly. So for the online, you can apply directly via the university's website or through centralized applications like the Common Application, the Coalition, Cal State Apply, Apply Texas. It actually depends on the university you're applying to. That would, you know, help you it will help you choose which of these applications that you're supposed to use. Then for the paper application as well, you fill a form. When you're done filling the form, you scan that form and email it alongside with other documents to the university. And then the last, which is issuing documents, we have scanning of documents and emailing it to the university as well. So to the next slide. So for undergraduate checklist, the undergraduate checklist is basically the things you're going to need to apply for an undergraduate program. So you know that you need your international passport because that is your means of identification. So you need that, and it has to be valid. It has to be valid. So say 6 months before expiration date. Yes, then that is a valid passport that we can use as well. Then your high school transcript. The high school transcript is gotten from your high school or secondary school, right? So basically we need the grade 9 to 12, which is in Nigerian terms from SS1 to SS3. Then we also have some test results like IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, ACT, and all of that. Now, this depends on the school you're going to, right? It can be optional. So take note of that. Then the personal statement. I'm also going to be buttressing what the personal statement should look like as we continue this webinar. So the bank statement. The bank statement is a very essential document. And the reason for this is the schools might request for it in order to issue the I-20 form. So it's really important. When we get to the visa part of this webinar, the counselor will be shedding more light to this. Then, of course, your portfolio. Now, the portfolio actually depends on the program you're going for. So if you're going for programs like art, design, architecture, all of that, of course, you need your portfolio so they can see what you've worked on before and know if you're if you qualify to be given admission for that particular program. And then, of course, we have the application fee. A lot of people like to run away from that, but it's also a necessity. But note that it also depends on the university that you're applying into, right? That would give you an insight as to the application fee to prepare for. Then additional information or additional documents you would need, right, is basically, if you're going to be working with IDP, we are going to give you some of these forms so that you can fill it as well. So I'm taking you to the next one, the personal statement. This is super important. If you look at the headline of this particular slide, I wrote it right there, personal statement, super important. It's really important that you have this going on. So let's talk about this. What should your personal statement entail? What should it contain? What message should it pass? These are questions that should be in your head when you're trying to write your personal statement. Always try to put yourself in the position of the person reading and in the position of the person issuing an offer, and think about it. If I'm reading what I'm writing to this person, would I give me admission? So let's talk about what the personal statement should comprise. Okay, I see someone has a question, is raising their hands. We'll take that after the webinar. So, introduction to the subject, the parts you're interested in and why. So you're going for a particular program. Why are you interested in that program, right? Your academic background, an achievement, you state it, right? And the work experience and things you've done, all of these things come together to make your personal statement. Cultural, social background and influences, your goal of going to university, and closing comments, right? These are just breakdowns. Now, if you look at the next picture close to this other picture, what should it comprise? You have to introduce yourself, right? Introduce yourself properly. And when you're done introducing yourself, you have to state why you are doing that particular program. Why are you choosing the USA? Why do you think that the course you're going for, how is it going to frame your future, right? You also have to think of all of these things. You need to put in effort to ensure that your statement is actually telling or saying much about you. So let me break this down again. So the first part of your personal statement should comprise who you are, right? Introduce yourself. My name is this, and I do this. That is where your professional background comes to play, right? And if you don't work, that's where your academic background comes to play. Then afterwards, you talk about why you want to do that particular program. Why are you choosing this particular program in this particular school? You need to talk about that as well. You need to talk about why you're also going for the USA and why you're choosing that particular school that you are applying into, right? So the personal statement is unique. One thing I've noticed in recent times about students is that the reputation of one personal statement to different schools. We need to understand the fact that schools are unique. So you don't use the same personal statement for, say, take for example, University of Washington. You don't use that same personal statement for another school. There are so many unique things that you need to note about one school and the other school. So let's go to the next slide. Yes, so the SAT and the ACT, right? Quite similar, but still different. So what is the SAT and what does it comprise, right? So there are two main sections, basically the mathematics section and also the English session. So it's basically a multiple choice examination at the end of the day, and the total is over 1,600, right? 800 per section. So for your mathematics section, you have 800, and for the other section, which is the English side of it, you have 800 as well. Yes. So of course, payment for this exam ranges from, let's say, 96.50 US dollars. So say from about 50,000 naira to 70,000 or 80,000, depending on the exchange rate. Please, this is a range, an estimated range. So it depends on what you get at the end of the day. So the ACT, right, comprised of 4 sections. You have the math, the English, reading, and science, right? And the mark score is 36. Also a multiple choice question. So the common application. This is one method of applying to United USA schools. Now, if you want to apply for multiple schools at once, you can actually use the common application. It's popularly called the Common App, right? Now, okay. So admission types, why would you use the common application? Early decision, right? And early admission as well, right? So to the next slide. Okay, so application fee, 50 to 150 USD per university. Note that fee waivers might also be available, right? So, okay. So now we are going to talk about the different kinds of institutions we have in the US.
right? So I'm going to start with the first one, which is the community college. The community colleges. Now, it's easy and fast to get admission into all of these schools. You do not require SAT or the ACT, right? But it's an added advantage if you write it. Then it exists in every USA state, right? 45% of American undergraduates begin at the community college. Now, it's also cost effective. If you're looking at the price of tuition, you can also look at the community college. It's quite cost friendly. And they also offer opportunity for transfer. So basically, say you start your first year through to your second year in a community college, it's easy for you to transfer to the university, right? It depends anyway on the universities the colleges are affiliated to or not. Then, okay, if you look at this, the next picture beside the community college slide, you start at the community college, your year 1, your year 2, then you transfer to a university and do your year 3 and year 4. Then when you're going through to the university, of course, you do your year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 in the university. But if you're doing the community college, excuse me, you have to do your first year, your second year, and then you move to your third and fourth year in the university, right? Great. Okay. For the master's program, let's talk about the master's program, right? So the main intake for masters is the fall and the spring. So basically September and January. Please note September and January. And then your main CGPA, that is the CGPA, the GPA you're supposed to have, sorry, I'm used to saying CGPA, is a 3.0. Please note that the American system is over 4. So if you're using the 3.0, it's 3.0 over 4.0 at the end of the day. So, but there are few options for a 2.0 to a 2.5, but majorly you have to have a 3.0. Most often than not, if you're not meeting the 3.0 cutoff, you might be asked to write a GMAT or a GRE. Please note. Now, the deadlines for application, the time frame at which you can start putting in an application for the fall intake. Kindly start in December, and by May, it should be rounding up. So as much as possible, try to meet up with these deadlines so that you can speed up your process and there's no lag. Then the spring intake, you have July through to October, please. July through to October. Thank you. Then we don't apply. So we don't apply directly for medicine and law or nursing for the USA. But let me just limit it now to medicine. Nursing is quite competitive. It's quite competitive. So most often than not, you have to have really high grades for you to actually venture into that. Now for medicine, it's quite tricky. I'll talk about it in this slide. So bachelor's, transcripts, and graduation certificate. Please note that your transcript is very important, is a very important document, and it cannot be overemphasized. And your certificate as well cannot be overemphasized. This is proof that you've actually completed a bachelor's degree. Kindly note that if you want to apply to the USA, you need to start on time to get your transcript from your university in Nigeria so that the process is not slower than usual, right? It's always advisable to have all your documents together before you continue or start an application to avoid delay in process of that application. The next thing I'm going to ask you for, or you're going to really need, is the recommendation letters. So most often than not, I tell students to give me 2, right? 1 academic and 1 professional. Very, very important, right? Now, if you are fresh out of university, you've not worked, then your recommendation letters will strictly be academic from your lecturers, and lecturers have actually taught you that you had something to do with. So most people bring recommendation letters. You read engineering, you're bringing a recommendation letter from a lecturer that lectures in School of Medicine, No. Try and bring a recommendation letter from a lecturer that was directly related to you. That's one. Now, the GMAT score, 500 plus for business majors, or GRE 300 plus, right, for all other majors. So basically, the GMAT is most important for business related programs. Most important, please note, because I've had people ask me, what's the difference between the GMAT and the GRE? What's the difference? Please, if you're going for a business related program, kindly note that you will be advised to do the GMAT. Thank you. Then your CV should be a proper CV, right? You should state, oh, I attended University of Washington from this year to this year, from this month of this year to this month of this year. Please be very specific in your CV. It's very good to have a very coherent and comprehensive CV, right? Thank you so much. Then work experience. Work experience is very important, right? It's very important, especially for a master's student, and especially for people going for an MBA. Oh, I want to do my MBA. Most schools will require that you have a little bit of work experience, at least 1 to 3 years of work experience, right? Now, your statement of intent, I kind of stressed it in the personal statement, but I'm going to talk about it briefly again. That shows you how important it is. Your statement of intent, I see some students saying, I don't want to write it. I don't know how to write it. Please take it very important. It's very important. Your statement of intent should contain, why are you doing this program? How does this program impact you? What do you want to use this program to do in future? How would this program affect your home country? What would you use this program to do that would bring about a particular kind of change in your home country? Emphasis on in your home country. Then IELTS scores, 6.5 to a 7.0 band score. It's doable. A lot of students try to run away from IELTS. IELTS is a very good exam that you should take, right? It's not basically I know we speak English here in Nigeria, but it's an English proficiency test, right? It's an English proficiency test. It's something you practice. So please try and put this at the back of your mind, that the IELTS is quite necessary. It's actually quite necessary. Then the conditional admission available for English and GMAT. Okay, this is fine. So still portraying my point on the GMAT and the GRE and also the IELTS, right? Thank you so much. So going to the next slide, the PhD. The PhD, beautiful. I'm going to run through this. Write your proposal to your supervisor, send it to supervisors, try and read on their work before you send it. Don't just write or scramble something in the paper and just send it. Try and do your research before you send all those proposals out to all of these people, and they will get back to you and tell you if they are ready to take you or not. Only when you find a supervisor can you proceed with your application process. So I'm going to skip this. So of course, the document's still the same, the official transcript, our recommendation letters, the GMAT, work experience, CV, statement of intent, proposal. That was what I was talking about in the last minute, right? And also your IELTS. Please, still the IELTS. Okay. Okay. Applying for medicine. Right. I promised I was going to talk about this. Please. Medicine. A lot of students come and say they want to study medicine. Medicine is not very open to international students. It's not, let me not use not very, so I don't encourage. It is not open for international students, right? You have to do like a pre-med. Now, what is a pre-med, right? Like a 4 years, complete a 3 to 4 years bachelor's degree before actual medicine studies. Please, let's note this. Complete a 3 to 4 years bachelor's before the actual medicine studies, please. Now, duration of studies. The duration for studying medicine in the university in the US can take up to 8 to 12 years. Please, let's note this as well. And then additional requirement, or entry requirements would include the interviews and the MCAT exam, right? Very important as well. That will show you how competitive medicine is. It is really, 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 really competitive. So we don't have students saying, oh, I'd like to go read medicine right here from your home country. It's not open to international students. So international student admission to medicine in the US and Canada, emphasis on these two destinations, is 3%. That is how tiny the opportunity is. Now, pharmacy, veterinary medicine, law, physical therapy, all follow a similar format, right? They are considered a graduate program. So basically a second degree program. Please note, okay? So basically I'll just run you through this. This is the what you earn, right? When you start to work in all of these states in America. You can see the dichotomies or the differences in each and every one of them. You have Nevada with 8.25 hourly, monthly. You just run through it, right? So when you have a session with your counselor and you have to talk to your counselor will put you through all of this. Undergraduate scholarship. Yes, please. There are two types of scholarships, right? We have the automatically considered scholarships, alongside the admission letter. So you have the A-listers, you're doing so well, and then you apply to a school and they give you the scholarship alongside the offer letter. Some schools do that to also encourage international students also to apply. So it comes immediately, right? Then there are other scholarships that require separate application. You have to write an essay and you have to meet a deadline. I repeat, there are other scholarship applications that require a separate application, right? And it would mean that you would have to write an essay and meet a deadline. Thank you. So graduate assistantship for our graduate students. Yes, they are very available in the US, right? Where you kind of like work and of course the school pays you. But of course, sometimes you still have to, not sometimes, most often than not, you still have to pay a percentage of that school fees, right, to the university. No matter how small it is, you still have to pay a particular tuition, but it's available. It is available for graduate students. So this is something that you can tap into if you're looking for financial aid and all of that. Okay, I got something. Okay, yeah. So strategic way, I'm going back to graduate assistantship because I need to highlight something. So strategic way for PhD and master's degree students to gain practical field experience, deepen academic understanding, and network with thought leaders and students in their field, right? So this is like one of the importance of the graduate assistantship. Tuition waiver based on the tax they perform for faculty members or department. Please note, it might not be full tuition waiver. So we don't have students asking, oh, the waiver, is it going to be all the, it might not be. So please have that at the back of your mind as well, please. Now, offered through the university and take place within the university. So it means that the graduate assistantship is limited to that particular university. Thank you. So you can either be a teaching assistant, a research assistant, graduate research assistant, and all of that. What does it encourage? Experience, growth, continuing education, mentorship, right? So international student work entitlement, right? On campus must be enrolled full-time, right? Must have valid student visa. Then off campus as well. Off campus must complete 1 academic year and work must be authorized. So basically, what are you entitled to? You're entitled to a 20 hours work permit every week. It's good enough because the other slide I was going to show you was how much you could earn, right? So it's good. 20 hours per week is really, really good. And you're also entitled to your full-time holiday. When you have your holiday, you shouldn't have to work on those days, right? So So STEM graduate equals optional practical training. That's the OPT. Now for STEM graduate, what is STEM? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics students, right? So they have about 36 months for that working. So I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, so thank you so much. This is it from me. I hope this session was very informative. And I'm going to be handing over to my colleague that's going to be shedding more light on the next phase of this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Precious, for that. Just to chip this in, you could just type your questions into the chat box. We would definitely attend to every one of them as soon as we're done with the presentation. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Gemma, to continue with the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're going to look at the visa aspect of applying or studying in the US. So the first thing you will need to do is to complete the DS 160 application form online, and then you get to book an appointment online. There's a fee that needs to be paid. So this fee ranges between 68,000 Naira and above. Then we have the service fee, which my colleague talked about. That is part of the requirements to get a visa in the US. You need to pay the fee, and it costs about 325 US dollars. Appointment availability varies according to the season. So when we say season, it depends on the peak of the season. So we have September, which is fall, and usually we have many applications then. So the embassy is usually overwhelmed with applications. So getting an appointment date may be stressful. So part of the things IDP will do is to prepare you for an interview when you get your FI20 from the school. So going for an interview, you need to know why the USA, why you want to go to the USA to study, how you heard about the particular university you're going to, who will be paying for your studies, you have family in the US, what are your plans after you graduate. So checklist, the things you need when you're going for your interview are your offer letter and then the I-20 form. So the I-20 form must reflect all the information that you have on your offer letter. And then you have your appointment, you have your form printed, that's the DS 120 application form. You must print that online. You have to carry your credit card with the relevant fees, if the applicant's email, that is your email, then your personal photo. Your photo is very, very important. And then we need your bank statement. That's actually your sponsor's bank statement that will be showing the fees that needs to be paid. So they need to show proof that they can afford to pay your tuition fee. So copy of your previous visas, if you have any. If you have travel history, you can provide that. And if you have driver's license, and then your international passport is very important. So other things that may be required is, like I said, private travel history. If you have any family in the US, your previous visa refusal. Please, it is very important to mention that you've been refused visa, whether it's in the US or in any part of the country or the world, Canada, UK, Australia, anywhere you've been denied visa. Please, you need to mention that. Then your previous visa numbers, name and date of birth of parents, applicants' educational history from grade 9, that's from SS1 or JS3 to present. Then your social media usernames. Yes, your social media usernames is very important. So let's talk about what the I-20 and SEVIS is. So the I-20 form is issued with your final offer letter, and it requires a bank statement covering the cost of attendance of the specific university you are applying to. So this is required, like I said, for your visa, and it would contain the program that if you're going for a bachelor's or a master's or PhD, it's going to contain that. Your name, student's name, the college, details, and work and travel sign-off. So every university a student applies to will issue an I-20. So if you're applying to more than one university, you will definitely get more than one I-20 form. So what is SEVIS? SEVIS is the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System. It's the web-based system that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security uses to maintain information regarding international students and exchange visitors. So every student is issued a service ID. Their unique identifier number is the service system follows the number we can see N00012345 formats. So who is issued an I-20 form? So students and dependents, so F1 for students and F2 for dependents. The service profile is created by the university's designated school official. The ID is linked to the school and listed on the F1 visa and must be transferred to each new school a student attends, known as a service transfer. So every student gets a service number, and it must be linked to the school. So whatever school you're applying to is, and you go to for an interview and you get your visa, that is the same school you get when you get to the port of entry in the US. That is the same admission letter and the FI-20 that will be showing in your visa. So you cannot switch at all. And if you must switch, you will have to change your service number again. So how long is my payment valid for? So when you pay the service fee, which is about $325, like I said, it is valid for 12 months. So yes, so this is a sample of what your visa would look like when you get it. And now we're done and we'll be taking your questions. Thank you so much. Back to you, Tosin.
Okay, I can see Aminat's question. So Aminat is asking about scholarship opportunities into the school.
So thank you for your question, Aminat. Yes, we have US schools issue scholarship. So it all depends. Like we said, there's merit scholarship and there's the ones you have to apply for. So merit depends on how good your academic documents are. If you're going for a BSc and you're an A-star student, you have all A's throughout, then you get a scholarship automatically. Depending on the schools, they have ranges of scholarships they can offer to students. And then if there's a particular scholarship you want to apply for, you would have to apply for that differently. Like my colleague mentioned, you need to do an essay and you must meet the deadline. So yes, scholarships are available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jama. So the next question is coming from Gerard. So Gerard is asking that please concerning athletics, is it possible to get athletics scholarship and do community colleges and have athletics where you can play on the university level? So it's asking about scholarship and then playing the football team thing in the school.
Thank you, Gerald, for your question. Yes, there are athletic scholarships available in the US. So US is known to give various types of scholarship. You can have scholarship for being left-handed. You have scholarship for being Black. You have scholarship for being Nigerian. So yes, there are scholarships for people that love athletics like you. So depending on the community college you are going to be applying to and maybe you get offer there, yes, you'll be able to play for them if they choose you to play. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
If I'm not seeing any other question, please type in your questions if you have any, so we could treat them as soon as possible.
All right, so while we wait for other questions, I need to stress the part about the GRE and GMAT. So I know lots of students run away from this. Please note that it could be optional depending on your GPA. So most schools will waive the GRE and GMAT if you have about 3.0. So please do not run away from applying to the schools in the US, because if you're fortunate enough, you get it waived. Then for working, recall, like my colleague said, every student in the US can work while they study. You can do it full-time, you can do it part-time, it all depends. So for STEM students, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics students, they get to work for 36 months, unlike the other students, people with the optional practical training, that's the OPT, they get to work for 12 months after their studies. But people that have done the STEM program, they can work for 36 months. So meaning you get the OPT work permit, and then you have the STEM work permit. So at the end of the day, you have 36 months to work. That's about 2 years or so or more. So you get to work. So please, please, please note that you can work while you study and after your studies in the US. Also, while you're studying and looking for a job, note that you will only be able to work on campus. So most times students are not allowed to work off campus. Please bear that in mind. Okay, so we're still expecting more questions, and let them in, please.
Okay, thank you for your question, Chioma. So Chioma is asking, why do I need to indicate the countries where I have been denied visa to? So why? That's what Chioma is asking.
Okay, thank you so much, Chama. This is a very nice question. All right. All embassies work together. So it's very important to mention where you've been denied visa before. So that shows how honest you are as a student, and your integrity matters a lot in every country you apply to. They want to know how honest a student or applicant or whoever is coming to their country is. So it is important you mention this, and note that if you lie that you've been denied visa before, you are likely to be banned for about 5 years from applying to the US. Thank you. Also, the IELTS exam is actually optional. Yes, if you meet for WIEC, if you have at least C6 in your English, then you may not need to write the IELTS exam. But if you don't have that, then you would need it. SAT and ACT, depending on the program, if it's BSc, if you really are interested in scholarship, for all of you that love scholarship and need scholarship, you would need to take the SAT or the ACT exams. It's actually very important. You would need that to give you an edge in getting that scholarship that you're looking for. And if you go to the school's website, you will notice there are particular scores that you need to acquire to qualify for this scholarship. So for SAT, some schools will require from 1,200 and above. And then for ACT, they may require you to have about 28 points and above. And remember, the score for ACT is between 1 to 36, and for SATs is between 400 to 1,600. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so there's another question here from Chioma. Chioma is asking, how do I connect with you guys when I want to study in the US?
Thank you so much for that question. So, like we said, IDP would help you with your applications to the US and making your dream come true to get into the US. So you can reach us. We'll actually put it on the chat, idp.com/Nigeria. So you can reach us and they will connect you to a counselor. So myself, Tosan, or Precious will be happy to counsel you on studying in the US. Thank you. Okay, so since we don't have more questions, I want to appreciate each and every one of you for taking out time from your busy schedule to come and join this webinar. We appreciate your time and we hope to hear and see you soon. Remember, you actually can study in the US. You can make your dream come true. And we are here to support you, to guide you, and make this dream come true. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you, Pelumi. Thank you. Thank you, Chioma, Emmanuel. Thank you, Ola, Aminat, Waliat, and Isiaka. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.